doing us a big favor. Also, you can call the studio lines to join us to review the news this morning. You can share your thoughts and contributions with us. Call the studio lines or text us. Or even better, you can WhatsApp these numbers 0706 048 5853. You can also call 0915 570-8347. I'm not alone in the studio this morning. I have Dr. Trudy Emelu, public affairs analyst. I mean, today, other times he is in the hospital doing what he does best. But today, he is my friend and a friend of Vote FM. So welcome, sir.
Good morning to our esteemed listeners.
Beautiful. You're welcome. Also, he is an amazing, fantastic singer. You don't want to know. All right, welcome, Doc. How are you this morning?
I'm fine.
You're
Pleasure to be
welcome.
here.
You're welcome. All right, so let's look at the newspapers this morning. The Punch News, we'll start from there. They said 107 oil theft incidents have been uncovered in 1 week. This is coming from the NNPCL. Okay, so let's grab a few more before we let you share your thoughts. Gates Foundation budgets $8.74 billion for 2025. Delta State Court stripped ex-minister Babu of traditional title. It seems that there will be some drama unfolding in Delta State in recent times, but we'll see how far they come with it. Kano and Niger Republic, the rail projects have failed. Communities tackle the federal government over compensations for 3,255 owners. Also, if you don't know, Governor Abba Yusuf of Kano State has empowered the women in his state with 7,000. What the doctor is laughing. He has empowered the women of Kano State with about 7,000 plus goats. And these goals are supposed to somehow translate to economic empowerment. And it has caused a lot of stir on the internet with people reacting to it in so many different ways. But I will ask the doc what he thinks about this mode of empowerment, economic empowerment. What do you think? 2,000 goats, 7,000 goats to 2,000 plus women. So plus or minus, each woman got at least 4 goats. I'm imagining.
Probably wants to encourage goat farming, animal husbandry, which is common in the northern part of Nigeria.
Is that a good initiative?
I mean, culturally, that's what the men tend to the cows, the women, the goats. And,
it kind of makes sense to me, though.
Yeah, so how much is a goat? Well, at least last December, 150,000, maybe let's say.
One goat?
Yeah, one goat, 150,000.
Wow.
It's a sizable goat, so we might be laughing at it, but there's
there was a time they sold goats for 25,000 naira in this country, 15.
Yeah, an average size goats, 150. Don't even talk about rams. That's fine.
Those are for kings, this time around. I don't think it was very bad. It's just people around here are not used to such.
No, it's the perception. Like, when there was a time a similar thing, people were donating wheelbarrows and.
Senator Shehu Sani was radios.
Yeah.
He empowered the youths of his state with radio sets, the very tiny ones.
I mean, if he gave something like, let's say, laptops to those women, these are illiterate, what are they going to do? Laptops.
But what would they do with the stereo radio? The ones we call Walkman.
Yeah. So, they in tune with their culture. I laugh at it, but it makes economic sense to those rural women to begin with. If you say from your calculation, this person got about 4 goats. Yeah. Goats are highly productive. They reproduce.
You're right. If they're going for 150, that's almost 600,000.
There's also goat milk. There's source of goat milk, source of protein. And so my laugh at it, but it's not all that foolish.
That wasn't the conundrum. The conundrum was how much the Kano State government had spent for this economic empowerment. Can you guess how much was spent for this goat empowerment thing? And spent $5 billion.
That's fair.
It wasn't the goat. The goat wasn't the problem. The problem was how much they had spent.
The amount.
It's amazing. Let's see if we can grab a couple more stories here. This from the Punch. The Punch is not so interested this morning. I'll just move over to Daily Post. Right. Nigeria Telecoms give update on the 50% telecom tariff hike. Nigerians are not reacting much to this. I don't know if this is sea finish or we've had enough. I don't know why, but everybody's silent. I guess tired. Also, Sowore reacts as Nigerian police moves for his arrest. And he says, I'm available. Okay. Also, over 460 illegal immigrants have been arrested in Trump's first day in office. It's going to get really interesting in the next few months. He has already begun. All right. So, Zamfara government approves employment of 2,000 teachers. Okay, that is good. We uploaded for this move yesterday. Also, Algon, divert funds to government. Divert funds to governor or go to jail. Ohaneze Ndigbo wants local government chairman. I guess this is in line with their autonomy, where they are expected to follow certain guidelines and rules. We don't know the intricacies. Still on the Trump situation, why Nigeria's balance of trade could worsen. An economist known as Oyedokun has made an analysis about what the Trump government could do to the Nigerian economy. Anyways, I have a Trump enthusiast in the building this morning, so he's going to help me. Let's make sense of some of these Trump policies, some of these Trump shenanigans. Let's see how it's going to affect us. I mean, just looking out. What do you think, Doc?
Well, contrary to what many people think, U.S. actually has more oil reserves than Nigeria. But they don't mine or drill their oil.
Why is that?
They kind of strategic long term. After that oil crisis, they now put it at a strategic case of war or strategic reserve. So they have the oil, they keep their oil, and they'll be using other people's oil. So now the Republicans, far right, with Trump being the arrowhead. You know, if you hear that chant, drill, baby, drill.
Yes.
So before they had the environmentalists and all that trying to put bottlenecks to drilling, these green energy activists and co. So, but with Trump now, he's going to aggressively prospect for oil, drill oil. They have the technology and everything. I mean, it doesn't make sense having oil and importing oil from. That's if you're an American and looking at it strictly, doesn't make sense. And they have more oil than Nigeria. So US
more oil than Nigeria.
They actually have more oil than Nigeria. So I anticipate an oil glut. There'll be so much oil
in the market.
In the market, the prices are going to crash. The US, which is a major importer of our oil, will not just stop importing, they will also plan to start exporting. But the thing is that Trump had 4 years before to do all that. He couldn't do it.
Okay.
So I don't think these are things that will be done in just 4 years because
he moves fast. Do you think this is
America? The institutions are strong. There are checks and balances. Even some of those orders he's making, like on citizenship, some of them have a constitutional implications.
Okay, and they still have to go through
some
processes.
States have already, about 22 or 23 states have already taken him to court over the birthright
and citizenship.
So it's not a slam dunk. He just rile up his base and all that. It makes sense what he wants to do. That's if you're a typical American. Why should we be importing oil when we have oil in our country? So, but if he succeeds in drilling the oil, and then the U.S. now becomes a major exporter of crude oil, it's going to have a tremendous impact on the price of oil.
Globally?
Globally, yeah, we are going to have another oil glut, worse than what it was. The other oil glut OPEC tries to, the major oil
Okay.
countries are in OPEC, they
Mhm.
try to regulate these things, regulate the production, like by giving quotas to several countries. But non-OPEC countries don't stick to any quota. They just produce as much as they can.
America does not belong to OPEC.
America is not likely to. America even has been trying to undermine OPEC because they see OPEC is at cross purposes with his national interest. OPEC wants to keep the oil prices high. America wants to keep the oil prices low.
Okay.
At times, he succeeds with his allies, Saudi Arabia, helping to pump up when there's a shortfall in global demand, supply for oil. So, but luckily for Nigeria, it's not all that. Even if we lose US, we still, many countries, the emerging economies, China and India,
They still depend on us.
they still depend on us, and they still need more oil.
They do.
They still need more oil.
So
Yes.
I thought that if the Nigerian market didn't have the American market to sell to, it would probably derail the market here a
No,
little bit.
we are blessed. We have something unique. We have what we call the sweet crude, low sulfur content, the Bonny Light crude.
So it's easier to deal with us.
So our crude is about the best quality that you can think of in the
Wow.
market. Saudi Arabia and all these other countries have what we call heavy crude. Processing it is more expensive or whatever. But our own sweet crude, we call it sweet crude, Bonny Light, low sulfur content. So we still have something desirable for the world to.
I guess. But then they still make it difficult for us. Now, speaking on oil prices, do you think it will ever come down?
Yeah, it's going to come down.
You believe?
Yeah, it's going to come down.
In Nigeria?
No, I don't know about Nigeria, but globally, I'm talking about the global oil
Globally.
price is going to come. Is going to come down.
And if it comes down globally, do you think we might be affected?
Yeah, of course. Now we're still importing. The Dangote hasn't really had that impact we expect. The Dangote refinery,
Is he ever going to?
which I predicted that time. That I think I've said it. In
But
the previous
according
program.
to our federal government, we have like 3 working refineries at this point.
They're playing semantics. They're playing games. I mean, it's
Really?
simple law of economics. If you have more products, it will have an effect on the price. Now, it's not just opening a refinery. What is the refinery doing? Are they refining PMS? I
Okay.
can tell you that a good number of them are not refining. It's not just, if you know your elementary chemistry from refining of crude, there are byproducts, fractional distillation, different. The crude, the components at different temperatures, separate at different temperatures. You have your kerosene, you have your PMS, you have your naphthalene and all that. So what they do is that the catalytic cracking units, which is the major one used for petrol,
Okay.
is still not working.
So we still don't have, because
They're not produced. So what they did is just what they call side reaction, maybe open one section of the refinery to produce some byproducts, bitumen or something like that.
I see.
If you have excess PMS in the market, you can't hold it. You have to sell it, and it's going to affect the price. It's a simple law of economics.
Because we remember that time the Port Harcourt refinery was celebrated, and of course someone went to look at it. Shawori, it wasn't Shawori, I forget his name, the Yoruba investigator who went to Port Harcourt to check.
Okay, not sure.
Yes.
The general.
Showmi went to check out the Port Harcourt refinery and came back and told us that this refinery was built to refine diesel and not petroleum. So it makes sense when you say that they might be doing some things that we might not know very much of. But isn't that the case in this country? Did you hear that the federal government was going to share 75,000 naira to Nigerians to help cushion the bad economic situation? Did you hear?
Yeah, we heard that, but the issue is, where did you get your database? How do you determine the people that are going to benefit from that? It was almost like the days of our humanitarian affairs minister, Sadia Yusuf, the wife of the former chief of air staff, Sadia, that claimed to have distributed during a COVID lockdown, claimed to have distributed food to school children at home during COVID. She must have been a magician to do that. So we don't have a reliable database.
But every time that these monies, because it won't be the first time that they've said they shared these monies to Nigerians. Have you ever had anybody tell you that they received any of these monies at any time? Have you ever met a Nigerian who had received these monies?
Well, I've not, but if you ask them, they can always rent a crowd of people that will come and at least they make a show of it. They'll get a few journalists and show you the recipients who will sing and clap in a controlled environment, if you ask me.
Turns out we're never in lack of actors. We use them everywhere. Politics, in the church, we use them in the schools, we use them everywhere. Everybody in this country is probably a paid actor at this point. You can join us this morning. You can comment on YouTube, leave your thoughts and contributions there. High Voltage News, we're live. You can also call live into the studio to join myself and the doctor this morning to analyze these stories that we're telling you. 0706 0485 about this whole thing. But Monday Okpobolo won in as governor. Don't you think he should move on and leave it alone?
Well, the politicians will tell you, win first, get sworn in first, and once you get sworn in, then you can now use state resources or whatever to fight for your seat.
You can use state resources.
That's the thinking of our politicians. Well, it's unfortunate that almost every election in this country has to be determined by the judiciary, and the judiciary lately has not really endeared itself, at least to most Nigerians. So, well, we hope that our politics will evolve. And Ghana, they just had elections, presidential election in Ghana, and everybody has moved on. Nobody is talking about.
That's true. That's true.
So, what is unique about elections in Nigeria? I mean, we should ask ourselves that question.
Do you think we're still referring to inauguration from 2023? Even now, it's still something, because it just shows that we are really not as forward moving as other people might be.
Yeah, we like ad hoc things. I keep saying we do ad hocism a lot. Just like our political parties, we don't really have any political. If you ask me, all our political parties, they lack ideological basis. So people are in the APC not because they know what APC stands for, or people are in PDP not because they know what PDP stands for. They are just footstools to get political power, because the Constitution requires you to be a member of a political party before you can contest an election. So people just look for any political party as a pathway to grabbing political power without any ideological leaning to the party.
Good morning.
Good morning. Chinelo calling from Enugu.
You're welcome, Chinelo. Chijindu, you're welcome.
Yes, I want to talk about this Trump inauguration.
Okay.
Because I'm not going to talk about like all what we talk about, but since Trump inauguration, people have been talking about, but when they inaugurated TV in this country, in our Nigeria, nobody talked about it. After that year, why is it only thing that they're talking about? Like, this federal government, just this kind of government, has let them just, at least, people can come down and see the cries of, and see what people are going through. Like, if that FCC is that after all, and walk down, and come and see the way people is that after all, and walk down, and come and see the way people are suffering. Oh God, I know self of mine, but at least just come down so that I don't know whether you have sleepless nights. I have left for this a little bit. Let us know whether this country is doing. Thank you.
Thank you, Chijindu. That was very passionately delivered. I respect it. Prof, is there something you have to say? Chijindu, I hear you absolutely, completely.
Well, everybody has to be interested in what is happening in America, because America is a superpower, and when they cough, the whole world, and when they cough, the whole world, when they sneeze, the whole world takes attention. They can influence a lot of things just by presidential pronouncement. Trump just told you that he's going to, through executive orders, he just cancelled the visa diversity program and all that. So
Oh, yes.
America is a global power, so you have to take notice of what them. And speaking about president's inauguration, people talked about president's inauguration. It was during that inauguration that he told us that subsidy is gone.
It was the first thing he said.
That was,
It was the first
that was
thing
the
he
highlight
said.
of his inauguration. And
And threw the country in a crisis.
yeah, the removal of subsidy and floating of the naira. So it's normal to talk about the inauguration of Trump.
Okay, so still speaking on Trump, the executive order, considering the citizenship situation, in the diaspora are kicking against it and saying it's illegal. Now, I know you've also lived over there just a little while. What do you think? Why do you think Nigerians are kicking against this? They are kicking against it on Twitter, they're on Facebook, it's going on all over social media. People, Nigerians crying out, especially those in diaspora. Why do you think?
It's not just Nigerians. It's not every diaspora. There are diasporans that are solidly behind Trump. Nigerians solidly behind Trump.
Nigerians.
Yeah, Nigerians solidly behind Trump. The thing is mostly Africans, people from third world countries that are kicking against the Trump policies. But let's not forget that this is a response to a campaign promise. He told the people this was what I was going to do, and he won overwhelmingly both the popular vote and the electoral college. So what it means is that the average American, in his hearts of hearts, there's what I call the microphone opinion, like what I'm saying now in microphone, and my bedroom opinion, what I say in my bedroom with my family members.
That's right.
So the Americans showed us what I call their bedroom opinion by voting overwhelmingly for Trump.
It was shocking to see.
Yeah, so,
it was shocking to see.
So that is really what they wanted. They are not comfortable with the influx of Mexicans, immigrants, and all that. That's why Trump got that overwhelming vote to do the things he's going to do. But the flip side of it is that the institutions in America are so strong that it's not an imperial presidency like you have in Africa or Nigeria, where the president can, force everything down everybody's throats. Okay. As I speak to you, the Attorney General of New Jersey and California, a total of about 22 states have already taken the president to court, challenging that executive order. Because once it touches, the executive order is not a slam dunk. Once there are constitutional issues involved, then I think some of it are going to meet roadblocks.
I also hear that he's kind of bringing back the white supremacy in the situation where he's bringing back employers being able to discriminate based on race and age and gender and things like that. Do you think things like this would totally destabilize the system?
I don't think he's bringing out.
Do you think?
Contrary to what people think,
Okay.
I don't believe Trump is a racist. Contrary to what people think,
I'm not thinking of the racism now. I'm just thinking if institutions like the employer situation, whereby you get to refuse people on things like that.
He wanted, in America they have what they call affirmative action or diversity.
Okay.
To help, if you are doing university admissions, let's say in Harvard, you keep it just like our quota, the equivalent of our quota system, where we have educationally disadvantaged states.
Yes.
So in the US, they also have their own affirmative action, usually for disadvantaged blacks, to enable them both in work and all those places. So Trump is now coming to say that no, he's now going to be colorblind. Everything's going to be strictly on merit.
Is that really what it is? It's not. It sounded like job inequality coming back, whereby we're doing the same job but we don't get the same pay.
If you don't go to school, there are some jobs that are meant for educated people. So how you get that job if you don't go to school? All you think about is basketball and so only in the sports. I'm talking of the typical Black American in the US.
Yes.
All the basketball. There are ways of making it is basketball, rap music, Very few are thinking of, I want to be a doctor, I want to be a lawyer, and all that.
So the black people, they are not really white collar focused or even blue collar focused.
Majority.
Majority.
But if a few are, it's just like in every demographic, majority more into sports, entertainment, and all that. So I don't see anything wrong with trying to make things on merit. Just like in Nigeria, that we have this educationally disadvantaged. For how long will someone be educationally disadvantaged? I give this example. I schooled in Jos. I went to Federal Government College, Jos. I have a friend that is from Adamawa. And I always have this argument with him. I went to the same secondary school with you. My son will take JAMB with your son, and my son has to score higher points than your own son because they say he's educated. What is disadvantaged about it? Didn't I go to the same school? So there's a lot of inequality.
Wow.
So it's the same way you're feeling about it. The also white American US feels about all this affirmative action. Yes, slave trade happened how many years ago? So why can't you fight like every other person and get into?
I see. Yes, we somehow seem to carry around the victim mentality and entitlement as well.
Entitlement mentality, yeah.
With some entitlement sprinkled on top of it for good measure. But back home, right, let's talk about this 50% tariff hike, really, in terms of our data and calls from the NCC. Now, the NLC and the TUC and the CNG and the rest of the host of them are kicking against it. But how do we go and how do we return from these hikes?
Well, yeah, they're making noise after the horse has left the stable. I mean, you made a noise about NLC and just backs, just like a toothless bulldog.
There was a time the NLC in this country was dairy. Nobody wanted to.
Yeah. They should check their leaders.
The Nigerian Labour Union used to be an institution that the government was very careful with.
Yeah.
When did they lose this power?
It's like every other thing in our country over the years. Institutional death of our institution or decay of our institution. So every other aspect of national life. It also affected our labor unions. So NLC coming to make noise about the 50% tariff. I mean, if the price of petrol or energy costs increase, VAT is increasing, every other thing is increasing. What do you want the telcos to do? Of course, they're going to ask for increase in tax. You see their masts and whatever powered by generators and whatever, and the petrol price and diesel prices have increased. So it's a natural thing. It's a chain reaction.
It's a natural thing.
It's a chain reaction that is going to affect the tariff. In fact, I think the NLC these days should focus on bringing down the standard of living instead of asking for what I call numerical increase in wages of workers.
They're not even getting it.
What I'm saying is the government gets its money in dollars. And you're asking for minimum wage and the naira. They just keep on devaluing the naira and give you a numerical. So you now start earning 2 million. You now find out that your 2 million was like your 5,000 naira maybe 15 years ago, whatever. So they should start looking at other means of making the worker comfortable by bringing down the cost of living as against what I call numerical increase in wages.
But it seems the cost of living has been completely abandoned in the country. They don't seem to.
There are ways you bring down the cost of living. I mean,
okay, wait. Before you give us that answer, your phone lines are buzzing. People want to talk to you. Good morning. Good morning to you.
Good morning.
That's okay from Abana Road.
You're welcome, Dr. Okay.
I'm not a doctor.
Mr. Okechukwu, I didn't get that. Sorry.
Yes, I live in Abana Road. You have spoken well on that. You have actually spoken well, especially as it affects the NLC people of the country. And imagine asking us that we should bypass
cause. If somebody starts saying it as one thing, it's all right. That we should by cost cost. That's the best way to bring down the overall comment increase 50% increase. I was like, going up in my business call. They did not tell us when the fuel was increased. So, thank you for that. That's when
Okay. Sorry, Mr. Kichuku. That phone call was very difficult to pick out. We couldn't really make you out, but thank you for calling anyways. And of course, if you have more thoughts, you will call back 0706 048 5853. You can also call 0915 570 8347 to join us in these analysis this morning. Prof, you were going to answer a question before I cut you off.
Yeah, I was saying that instead of all this salary increase, wage increase, bring down the cost of living.
Okay.
There are ways of bringing down the cost of living. For instance, education. The average family, do you know how much they pay on school fees and all that? I was telling my kids that my school fees those days was 60 naira, and how much was Coke then? I think Coke was 30 kobo.
I remember when my mother said her first salary was 36 naira. And then she would remind us how this 36 naira would go around her other 6 siblings. And the money was enough to take care of everybody in the house, you know.
So I think the government should fix public schools, public hospitals, everything public. Give it a bit of real investments in those sectors. Okay. I don't mean just painting buildings and all that. Those days when I was in secondary school, I was in school with ministers, children of ministers. I was in school with children of internal affairs minister. I was in school with children of inspector general of police. I was in school with children of Obas, emirs,
and they were comfortable to send their children.
They were comfortable enough. Even some, federal government college those days, and they were comfortable to send their children to public school. Bring back that glory. Bring back that glory. If you visit some of these schools today, you shake your head. Is that bad? The school tanker, I left almost how many years, over 30-something years ago. The school tanker that we had that time is still packed there, broken down. So that tells you, and it's not specific to my school. You can see it in everywhere. So the moment our politicians, and the funny thing is that most of them, when they now make money from the public bus, they now go and set up private universities and secondary schools. Meanwhile, when they were in government, the public schools were run down. I think we need to do what they did in Rwanda. Everybody, public school. No, there are no private schools in Rwanda. Everybody is forced to go to that.
So you're forced to have a system that works.
Yeah, forced to make that system.
Because they have this alternative of the UK has better schools. So it's easier to send off your kids to the UK and then let the
but money made from the public bus. So that's the thing. I mean, you say that the citizens deserve the kind of leadership they get, but if the cost of education, the weight of education, like school fees, and I mean, we live a lie when you put a school fees and juxtapose it with the salaries of our public officials, even the senior ones.
It doesn't connect.
It doesn't connect.
It doesn't connect.
Yeah? You're paying somebody 60,000. You're paying somebody 300,000, and you're fixing school fees 400, 500,000.
That's right.
So you're practically saying that, let's say, a director in your civil service should not be able to, so, and you are not wondering how, okay, even with this poor salary, how they're making ends meet. It's corruption.
It's the intentionality of our actions as a people is what shocks me the most.
Softly telling them, my friend, better go and be corrupt.
That's
find
right.
your way.
That's right.
Know how you make it.
That's right. They tell you find a side hustle.
Yeah.
It's called find a side hustle. That's what we're teaching our
children.
So
if we tell ourselves the truth, make the standard of living. No, invest in that education, bring down the cost of education, make it practically free, at least up to secondary school level. It's not everybody that should be in the university, unfortunately. I'm of that view.
I believe that
there are many people that have no business in university, but we just have that mindset that you must come out with a degree. Not everybody should be in the university. So the university might not be free, but at least make it affordable. To the average Nigerian. That's our public universities. Then if you now want that first class whatever, then you can now go to the private ones where you pay 2 million, 3 million per session or whatever. And the funny thing that we still have public servants who send their children to those 3 million, and nobody asking how they're managing to.
It is the grace of God. It is the grace of God, Doctor. There is, because most of the things that happen in this country that we cannot explain to ourselves is usually ascribed to divine intervention.
We can explain it, just that we don't want to tell ourselves the truth.
Are you sure we can explain it?
We can explain, don't want to tell ourselves the truth.
Because what God cannot do does not exist, if you ask me. You understand? Miracles every day. You know, because EFCC officers, they've been asking them how much they pay them, considering that they all drive Mercedes-Benz and they have all these flamboyant lifestyles and they have these expensive gadgets. Sometimes we have to ask questions. Sometimes we're not even understanding the things we're seeing. So sometimes we have to ask. Okay, so the phone lines are back on. Please call. If you call when the doc is saying something, you know I won't take it because I want to hear. But you have your chance now. We have barely 10 minutes before it's over, so you can send your calls in. Good morning.
Hey, good morning, Melvin.
Greetings to you.
Good morning, Doc. My name is Charles.
Good morning.
I'm calling from Happy.
You're welcome, Charles.
Talking about tariffs, I think this tariff should be imposed on luxury goods, not on necessities. You know, there are so many goods that it's like people bringing in if you're bringing a Rolls Royce and you're asked to make 100 million or 200 million, I mean, that's understandable. That is even how it is in most developed countries.
It's applicable here. That's how it is.
Like now, even drugs. I'm not a doctor, medical doctor.
He is a medical doctor.
Drugs now is very expensive. You know, drugs are very expensive. Somebody was telling me that Augmentin is about 30-something thousand now.
Yeah.
You know.
The doctor has confirmed. He says yes.
Most basic drugs sell, most basic things now that people, normal drugs like Panadol, all those small things, the prices have all shot up. Then we need to bring down the price, reduce tariffs on it, even make it zero, subsidize it, government is subsidize those things. That is how most government human faces operate. Today, like something like bleaching cream. I heard a report that Nigeria is not the bleaching capital of the world.
Really? Have we made it to the champions?
Right now, I heard that report this morning.
Wow, we made it to the
Nigeria
champions.
is not the bleaching capital of the world.
That is amazing.
But products the tariff should be increased. You understand? But for the time I was able to do something that I can see my stockbroker and a couple of things. The bank I went to that day, my stockbroker around Presidential Road, all the girls I saw were fair. All of them. But the other day I saw some notes, I asked them, come, up to about 8 of them, all of them were fair. I don't know, only in my church. All of them are laughing. You know what I say? Oh, pretty much, how about bleach? You know? So they need to increase the tariff on bleaching.
But are we going to change the Igbo endearment that we give women, known as wanyocha? Are we going to because we need to delete it? Don't you think we have to delete the wanyocha syndrome first?
There is a lady I know. She was born fair.
Okay.
She was born fair. Then I looked at her, saw her knuckles were looking somehow. Asked her, come, are you bleaching? She laughed. Said, "Now leave that in go. Now it's called tuning, not bleaching." She was born fair. It's not that she was black. She was born fair, but she's bleaching or tuning. I don't know what to call it. How much more do they have that?
So are you saying to ban these things or to regulate? What exactly should they do?
I say increase the tariff.
They're expensive. Do you know that they are very expensive?
Those things you are saying are already in place. There is high tariff on luxury items. It's not cheap to import. If you're importing a Rolls, the tariff is almost 100%. So there's high tariff on all those things.
Yeah, I think that's what you should. And that is how I don't want that. You should concentrate high tariffs on those luxury goods like luxury wine. If you're bringing NSC, if you want to drink any things, all those expensive drinks.
That's what I'm telling you. It's already in existence.
The time, that we take the wine he drinks. It's not this year. About 3-4 years ago, that the wine is 1 million naira. That's the bottle of wine that we could street.
Yeah. It has to do with the value of the naira. There are also drinks. There are whiskeys that are $400,000, $2.something million. So if you want,
those products are the products that should be, the tariff should be increased. So if you know, okay, that one now, I'm talking about that one now is about 5 million a bottle that we get drinks. So if they want to increase that, let's do it on those drugs. But things like drugs that we use, you get.
Okay.
There should be things. There are things that should be affordable to us. Thank you. Good morning.
Okay, Charles. Thank you very much for that contribution this morning. In case you probably are assuming that those bleaching products are cheap. You must know that they are not. Hence the hype of it. It's luxury products, like the doctor is trying to tell you. Those are luxury products. So let me give you the actual numbers and figures of the Kano State empowerment situation. So the numbers have come down. Let's get the actual figures now from Sahara Reporters. Kano State Governor empowers 2,386 women with 7,158 goats. Claims the initiative was worth 2.3 billion. All right, so that's how it works. 2.3 billion. I think I should probably go into this good business. Maybe this is my breakthrough. All right, but you must hear that the Igbo Council has petitioned Nigeria's Chief of Staff and lists 90 Southeast checkpoints where road users face extortion, humiliation by the military and the Joint Task Force personnel. What do you think about this, Doc?
Well, it's been a lingering problem. It's nothing new. It's left for Southeast political leaders to be more forceful and not just empty rhetoric on the media. They should do something about it.
What can they do about it?
What you're asking me? What the governors, what the senators, the House of Reps members?
It sounds like they are helpless. We've been talking about this for years. It sounds like nobody knows what to do about it.
They've not been forceful enough about it. After all, there was a time the northern leaders were making noise about checkpoints during the Boko Haram era, and the president had no option but to listen to them and kind of eased the checkpoints.
But you just mentioned that it's governors in the north. You remember how they didn't like the tax reform bills and they kicked against it and they cried and they cried, and somehow the federal government decides that it can now be adjusted and fixed and tweaked.
The principle of the tax reform bill is still in place. What I'm saying is our political leaders have to do more with regards to those checkpoints in the southeast. I mean, if you travel all over the country, you'll be wondering, what is it in the southeast? And I understand that even these policemen, some of them lobby to be posted to the south.
We have heard. They say it's a gold mine here. What are they mining?
remaining your passengers on the road.
It's so unfair. It's so unfair. Okay, but now that I've talked about it, I just mentioned that sometimes it sounds like the leaders, the elites of the Southeast are helpless when it comes to problems that affect here. Tell me, do you think that they have the power to really, really position the Southeast better than they are doing right now?
Yeah, they can do more. For instance, you have kidnappings, and I treated a kidnapped victim about a week ago. I think Onitsha South bus. She was sitting in front of an Onitsha South bus, and the kidnappers chased them, and the bus somersaulted several.
Oh my
Luckily,
God.
she made it and whatever. And she said that the kidnappers, on seeing the bus somersault several times, assumed they were all dead and left. So when people now rescued them, they still met checkpoints after, and they were telling people kidnappers, and the security men were just unconcerned, as if they were not making it.
No.
I didn't that they didn't get that, where are they, where them, but they were just. So we have to look. It's not just having checkpoint. There should be cause and effect. If you're on the road and there's a robbery, and the robbers, did they fly through the sky? Did they pass through that same road that you have checkpoint? There should be consequences. I don't think there are enough consequences for those on the road. Okay, kidnapping. Where did the kidnappers? Okay, your child is kidnapped in Enugu, and you end up seeing the child in Port Harcourt.
That's right.
How did the child end up in? It's not through the roads. How come there's no penalty for all those that were on the road? When you start doing things like that, people now know that there's accountability. I don't think there's enough accountability, and that is why these things fester.
Thank you, Dr. Chudi Emelu. You see, listen, you just told us a really, really sad story, because this story is the Nigerian reality.
Yeah.
You're saying it, and I'm getting very bad deja vu, because it's terrible that you can complain about your life being in danger in this country, and everybody can just ignore you. I've seen people fall on the streets. I've seen people faint or have seizures or have problems on the streets.
At times, even when you try to help, you get into trouble.
That's the problem. You try
help.
to help. Nigerians tell you that you don't have to help this person. I don't know what has made us that inhuman, but I will try to bring the good doctor back into the house some of the time, so that we can have these conversations. It's important that we also check how our humanity is going in the country as well. Maybe it's part of the reasons why we're experiencing some of these things. But thank you, doctor, for coming this morning.
It's a pleasure.
It's always an honor talking to you. And also thank you for joining me this morning on the show. See you again tomorrow morning. Please, will you try to be a good person today? Well, think on that. I'll see you tomorrow. My name is Mavis. Good morning.